things Impact Wrestling in advance of their big Bound for Glory pay-per-view event tomorrow night on pay-per-view and Fight TV, by the way, our partner Fight TV. I'm not alone. Damian Nelson here for the PWR studios, joined by David Octavius of Tiberius, the alleged backyard knockout, straight edge, hardcore, one-time Hall of Famer hero, and also the man who puts the super in the super show, the super analyst, the superhero, the superstar, Shane Hurricane Helms. How you boys doing here on a Friday night?
I'm in writing mode, so I got my glasses on. I've been writing all day, so.
Oh, like
I might be brain dead. So I'll try my best.
What are you writing?
What are you writing?
Well, I had to do a chapter for a friend's book that's coming out, and also I'm working on 3 different writing projects right now. So the research, you fall down these rabbit holes. You end up watching YouTube videos, and you having to take copious notes. Which I have a question for Dave Hero, because on the show last night, I always see him over there writing, and I feel like when you're at the doctor's office and you see him taking notes and shit, and you're like, what's he writing over there? I need to understand what's going on. I want to see your notes, or are you just doodling? And there's going to be a picture of a dick at some point. If that's the case, I understand. But what you doing over there?
Well, to be honest, I was jotting down my notes about what you were talking about, what you're writing. The Book of Helms, Chapter 4, Verse 69. It's like, okay. I want to make sure that I know exactly what all that stuff is.
Okay, good.
But you know what, though? But I'll be honest, I do. I take lots of notes on the show about what we're talking about, so I don't lose my train of thought. And I do doodle quite a bit also. But there are no...
That looked like a lot of scribble. I'm just going to...
It's shorthand.
Okay.
Your train of thought never leaves the station.
Yeah, that's why the engine's always revved up, though.
Gentlemen, we are here tonight to talk about Impact Wrestling from this past week on Access TV, and also how that fits into tomorrow night's Bound for Glory, TNA's historically biggest event of the year, and they have done a lot to build up to this event. And the first match I want to talk about as we go back to Impact this past Tuesday is a matchup which would determine the person who would have number 20 in the Call Your Shot gauntlet match, and that would be Heath versus Rhino versus Alicia Edwards versus Cousin Jake and Hernandez. A dynamic mix of people in this matchup, and we would see at the end of the day Hernandez getting the win and getting that number 20 position. So firstly, Shane, what did you think of this action and the matchup that we're going to see at Bound for Glory?
It was good. You know, there was a few teeny tiny things about that match that were a bit off, but there was a lot that I liked. When Hernandez, the way he evaded the gore, where it kind of looks like he just fainted. He just kind of slowly just fell out of the way, but it was smooth at the same time. And Rhino taking out Alicia, that was nice, you know. And then a nice schoolboy, the Schoolboy of Doom for the victory. I'm a big fan of the Schoolboy of Doom, so I thought there was some good business in that, you know. Alicia taking out 3 or 4 grown men with the dive, that's a little, I mean, you know, she's still a very small human being. I'm not sure she can knock one guy down. So you got to be a little bit more creative with spots like that. But I love her fire. You know, she has got great facials and she's got great character. And you can feel that in what she does, you know. So I think she tells a great story with her physicality. That was one spot that really kind of stood out to me as, I don't know if we needed that one, but then she takes the gore at the end and you can't help but respect her for it. So good job.
Fair enough. David Hero Hernandez, who's been on this program, who I'm a huge fan of, gets a win in this matchup.
Hernandez is still Hernandez. I mean, it's amazing seeing him still out there doing his thing. But Shane's right. Alicia Edwards did a fantastic job. I wish, if she's going to jump off the top on all those guys, lead with her knees first or something, where her body's more of a weapon. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like,
I don't know about that. That would still hurt. I just think it needs to be like, you know, out of the way, let them take each other out. Like, you could have 2 of those guys close on each other on the floor, then you got the one guy. And believe it or not, it's a lot easier to dive on one person, especially with a crossbody, than it is a group of people. When there's a group of people, that's when most of the misses happen. If you ever watch all of the splats, they happen when there's a group, because there's somebody that's going to go, oh, he's going to do it. Well, the person he thinks is going to do it is thinking the same thing. He's going to do it. And then nobody catches him. And you get that splat. It happened to Swerve on NXT. It happened to Taya Valkyrie last week on Impact. She did a dive on multiple people and nobody caught it. And she splattered right on the damn ramp. Right. I had to send her a text. Like, how about that catch? And she goes, yeah. So it should have just been on the one person. Simplify that target. Let a couple guys take each other out.
Well, the next match we would see would be Rosemary.
Whoa, pump the brakes. I think the most glaring thing for me was, how come Eddie Edwards doesn't run out to check on his wife?
He's got other problems.
Right, but that's a bigger one. If you don't check on her, she's going to be pissed about it. I mean, Rhino ripped right through her. No pun intended. I mean, it was a hell of a goal.
She was in the match. Wouldn't that have diminished her?
That's why I'm not a big fan of personal relationships making it to the screen, because that is always going to be a question. Here going forward, anytime Eddie Edwards is hurt, where's Alicia? Anytime Alicia is in a dangerous situation, where's Eddie? That's why you really handcuff and paint yourself into a corner when you put those personal relationships into an on-screen role. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but it does make it just difficult because, Dave, you're absolutely right. You see your wife out there in a match with men that could snap her neck.
Exactly. Mm-hmm.
Rosemary gets a big win over Havoc in a decent matchup this past Tuesday night. Impact. David Hero, your thoughts?
Both girls I thought were extremely physical. I was surprised that Rosemary got the victory over Havoc with the spear, considering this. I would have thought there would have been a little more shenanigans involved in the finish. But apparently now that means the minister, James Mitchell, gets to reappear at the wedding. So yeah, it's going to be cool to see them dust Minister James off for Bound for Glory.
Yes, one of the best managers, I think, of the recent era in wrestling and, of course, of TNA history. But Shane, your thoughts, Rosemary over Havoc?
Yeah, I guess they have to keep Havoc and Rosemary still somewhat friendly for what they're doing going forward. But I agree with Dave on this, with the size differential and how powerful Havoc is. Rosemary with the spear didn't do it for me. I would have liked to see the Mist or something like that, but that kind of goes against the story. When you got this character like Rosemary, and when she's just wrestling and you don't get any of that crazy Rosemary stuff, then you're throwing your character away. That wasn't a Rosemary match. She just had the makeup on. She didn't do none of the crazy sit-up shit that she normally does. We just didn't. You lose. If you lose, you got to be careful about losing your character.
I would have been happier with a count-out victory than her going over with the spear.
Yeah, anything. Yeah, just a spear on, Havoc is, still such a physical specimen in that division, in any women's division. I just don't think you beat her like that.
Well, next up, we saw a bit uncharacteristic approach as well from Kylie Rae, talking about her match on Saturday against Deonna Purrazzo. But more importantly, EC3 continues with his sort of motivational speaker, sort of twisted mad scientist kind of approach, talking about his situation as well. David Hero, big fan of EC3. What did you think of the interaction between he and Kylie Rae in this segment?
EC3 reminds me a lot of Jake Roberts with The Undertaker, or Jake Roberts with The Ultimate Warrior, trying to inner aggression out of different people. He comes across like a psychopath. I mean, if you didn't know he was Ethan Carter III, the top 1%, he's able to go a complete 180 and now become the Psycho Boy.
Psycho Boy, interesting. Okay, Shay.
Yeah, it's interesting because it is so different. So, like right now, I still haven't wrapped my head around what this is. Like, I mean, he's the evil. Who's the guy that does all the motivational speaking, dark hair guy? You know exactly.
I know.
He's been in a couple movies.
Tony Robbins.
Kind of interesting. Yeah. So he's like a psychopathic Tony Robbins. Like that. He's going to motivate you to find your dark side.
Yes.
I guess that's what it is. I just said I can't wrap my head around it, and yet I just defined it. Maybe I should put more thought into it. So I'm still interested in it. I'm still interested to see where he's going. Rae, I think she kind of checks the boxes for me in terms of personality. Her promo delivery, I think, is good. The promo too later on when she was talking about Deano, man, it just seemed really serious, and I'm impressed with her. I think she's had a really good couple months, not just weeks, but couple months of showing on Impact. And there's a big future for her.
Next up, we see Sammy Callahan get a win over Eddie Edwards. Can Shamrock playing a role?
Oh, I popped huge. I had to text Sammy because sorry to cut you off, but when Shamrock ran in at the end and Sammy smacked the shit out of him, I was like,
Yeah.
what? Like, damn, like good match. Actually, match of the week on our shows. Match of the week for me was Sammy Callahan and Eddie Edwards. Great match, especially without a crowd. Especially because Impact, without that crowd, for them to put on the match of the week, that's a testament to those talents. But then you got the aftermath. Shamrock ran in and Sammy Callahan smacked him in the face. I was like, of all the people in that locker room, I'm smacking in the face. Shamrock is the dead fucking last, and that just popped me. I was like, what is that? And it raised Sammy in my eyes, because Shamrock just took it and it got him going. So I really enjoyed that segment.
I was shocked when all of a sudden he was bitch slapping Ken Shamrock. I'm like, how does that even come up in conversation?
I don't know.
Sammy goes, yeah, so Ken, I'm gonna slap you across the face to get you motivated, unhinged to begin with. That'll be even better. And it was.
Yeah. You gotta be that's a bold suggestion. Hey, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna slap you in your face. What? You gonna do what?
Yeah. Well, next up,
and that ankle lock looked like he was turning his ankle inside out.
Yeah. Well, it's a little easier too when the guys have the wrestling shoes on. When you got the wrestling boot, the traditional wrestling boot, it has a lot more support and your ankle's kind of locked in place. When you got those wrestling shoes on, the Eddie Edwards, you can get a little bit more torque on them, and it probably was hurting.
Well, next up, we saw a six-man tag team matchup. Well, six-person tag team matchup. It was Chris Bay, Raju, and Jordynn Grace going up against TJP, Willie Mack, and Trey Miguel. It will be Miguel Mack and TJP getting the win in that matchup. Shane, what'd you think?
I thought that match was really good. I enjoyed it. And I thought Jordynn Grace, however we pronounce that.
Jordynn.
I don't think there's a Y in there.
There is a Y. Jordynn.
I thought
Jordynn. There's no
A. Y. Hey, the Y is silent.
It's Jordynn. So I think it's Jordynn, perhaps.
Jordynn Grace. I think it's still like a Jordynn Grace. I don't know. I've met her. I've been in the ring with her. But I'm getting confused. Yeah, the All In Battle Royal. She was in that Battle Royal.
Well, there's a six-way X Division match at Bound for Glory, which is why this match happened on Impact this past week.
I think she fit in. I don't think she looked out of place in that match. And, that was a concern. Sometimes when you got an intergender match, earlier when Alicia was in that situation, specifically with the dive, that looked out of place. And so I was kind of watching this with a deeper eye because of that. And I thought Jordynn looked like she could beat those guys' ass. And maybe she could. Hell, I don't know. But there was a lot of good athleticism. The heel. Remember we talking about that multi-team match from Dynamite where nobody could figure out how to be a heel? Watch this X Division match. Watch the champion be a heel. Watch him stay a heel. Yeah, he got a little bit of shit in, but he stayed a heel. The people stay true to their characters. This was a get your shit in match too, but you can still stay true to the characters and you can still get heat.
Yeah, and for me, the one thing from this match is it leaves it wide open for their pay-per-view matchup Bound for Glory because not any of them out as the star, they all meshed well together. And I could see any one of those six leaving Bound for Glory as the champ. So yeah, it was a good match, the right spot. I loved how the falls, they were doing the false tags and just watching Rajit get heat. Because up until 6 months, not much about him, but he is just one conniving X Division champion.
Yeah.
The final contest this past Tuesday night on Impact saw all 4 of the main tag teams that have, been having a long story over the last few months get involved in a matchup which caused the Good Brothers to go to a no contest against the North. But we also saw the Motor City Machine Guns, Ace Austin, Man Fulton, all involved in this match. At the end, they all stand tall going into one of the most anticipated matches at Bound for Glory this Saturday. David Hero, did they do what they needed to do to get more clicks on that pay-per-view button for Bound for Glory?
Well, the match alone I thought was fantastic and solid. I thought it was interesting how the Good Brothers, who come across as everybody's good brother, did the double cross on the Motor City Machine Guns. I wasn't expecting that, considering the Machine Guns has come out and has had their back the majority of the last few weeks of TV. But there's definitely a sense of urgency with all 4 of those tag teams going for the gold on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I thought that added a little bit of extra edge to the Good Brothers because they've been too good a little lately, having too much fun. And that might be because in real life they are having fun. They're having a good time at Impact, but they brought a little bit of edge to that and a little bit more seriousness to this match that we're going to see on the pay-per-view.
Well, that was Impact Wrestling from this past Tuesday night. All of that leads into tomorrow night's Bound for Glory, which, of course, is available on Fight TV and, of course, on pay-per-view as well. Before we get to talking more about
Whoa, pump the brakes. You missed the whole situation where Jimmy Jacobs was interviewing Moose. Moose gets all heated and pissy and leaves, and then Jimmy Jacobs gets kidnapped by guys that are Antifa Retribution Light. And one of the things that it entertains me but irritates me is when there's video cameras outside of buildings waiting for things to happen. And they did that where EC3 got one last promo in on Impact, and it was dark and it was sadistic, and you almost have to wonder how violent is this match going to be between EC3 and Moose on Saturday night.
That is something you have to wonder and something we were about to talk about. So thank you, Dave. 18 minutes into the show. Let's move on and talk about who makes this show possible. And that would be our tremendous partners, first of which being Collar and Elbow brand. And I see, Shane, you have some great colors on this week, tonight. And firstly, you're making the on-air debut of the PWR shirt available from collarandelbowbrand.com.
I think we're going to have to get the updated one with our pictures on it, though. The graphic from the. I think we need to.
Absolutely. Yeah, we should.
But I'm gonna put my hurricane mask on both y'all's faces.
Absolutely fine.
Damien loves masks. It's fine. No problem.
collarandelbowbrand.com. You can go there now, get all the latest from the world of professional wrestling, including coming soon, if not released already, the fall brand of attire.
Yes.
It is also sporting his collar and elbow gear tonight.
Yes. Go to collarandelbowbrand.com. Use promo code PWR360, and you're going to save some money. And yeah, absolutely check out the new fall and winter styles. We got jackets, hoodies, sweatpants, sweatshirts, long sleeves, hats, at collarandelbowbrand.com.
It's not just t-shirts, it's everything you ever want with some great wrestling gear. collarandelbowbrand.com. And also, you know, when you're looking that good on the outer layer, you got to make sure that your under layer is also well groomed and ready to go. And that's where Manscaped comes into play. They've got everything. They've got your trimmers, they've got your nail trimmers, they've got ball balm. They've got everything to take care of your Mid-South region. And that is also a promotion available to you right now, manscaped.com. The code, gentlemen, remind me, is PWR.
PWR. Yes, and you can be silky smooth every day of the week and twice on Sunday.
Shave your balls, you dirty bitches.
Manscape.com, promo code PWR. I believe you get 20% off and free shipping on whatever you order there. And all of us have the product, several of the products that they offer on their product line. And it is not just hype. It is not just propaganda. It is a good product. So give it a try, manscaped.com. Gentlemen, now let's move into discussion about tomorrow's Bound for Glory pay-per-view, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fight TV and your local pay-per-view providers. And it is a stacked card. As we talked about on Impact this past Tuesday, there will be a Call Your Shot gauntlet match. We know who number one will be. Number one will be Rhino. And we do know also, as a result of the matchup this past Tuesday on Impact, number 20 will be Hernandez. But in between, there are 18 other people, including Heath Slater, Tommy Dreamer, Brian Myers, Cody Deaner, Cousin Jake, Johnny Swinger, Alicia Edwards, Tennille Dashwood, and 10 more who may or may not have already been named. This match, when they win, they can choose their shot, call their shot. And if Heath or Rhino win this matchup, then Heath gets a contract. If they don't win, Heath has no more opportunities with Impact, and Rhino loses his contract. So a bit convoluted, but it makes sense in the stories that have been told so far. In this segment, we are going to fantasy book how you guys, Dave and Shane, would book the show, and we'll start with this Call Your Shot gauntlet match, which I imagine won't be easy to book. Dave,
do we have all the names? Do we have all 20 names? Or there's
we don't. We have 10 of the 20 names.
I don't know how we even call this.
I don't either. I mean,
will Rhino and Heath Slater end up remaining in Impact Wrestling after this? Now,
I think there's more entertaining television if they don't. And then we got both hire Heath and Rhino back. Whatever hire Heath, hire Rhino back, however you want to do it. Not right back, but Rhino back. I think there's some entertaining stuff to do there. So that's why I'm leaning that way, that they don't. But how long can we do the hire Heath thing? I don't know. But I know there's been some entertaining bits with it on the show and with social media. So this is how you can elongate it. It goes to Heath and Rhino together, keep them together, and it shows that Rhino put it all on the line for his buddy Heath. So I don't know, but
I guess because there's going to be mystery people involved. The contestants are from the Wrestle House show. But if I'm booking it, and if the goal is to keep things rolling with Rhino and Heath, and you want to have it funny, haha, or a wow ending, you let one of the girls go over on Heath or Rhino in the end. And more like, what the heck just happened? And then that way you have someone new for the girls that can go for the Knockouts title. But if it's me, maybe it's I think that's how I would do it. I'd have one of the girls roll up Rhino or Heath for the finish.
What are some of the names we have? Sorry, real quick. Can you go again?
Tommy Dreamer, Brian Myers, Cody Deaner, Cousin Jake, Johnny Swinger, Alicia Edwards, Tennille Dashwood, and 10 other.
There it is. Alicia Edwards rolls up Rhino, and that's how she gets back at him for the spear, for the gore.
All right.
Go
ahead, Shane.
Is it a gauntlet elimination?
It's gauntlet. It's gauntlet.
Yeah, but gauntlet elimination. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be wild. That's going to be hard to figure out.
Is it too complicated?
Yeah, because you got to believe Hernandez will be one of the last two people in the match then, right?
Oh, he is guaranteed at number 20.
It might. Yeah. It still might end up being Heath. He could still do it. Could end up being Brian Myers. He's really turned it up a notch there too. You got to look at who's going for a championship down the road. So it should be a guy or a girl.
You know what could be interesting also? Maybe it comes down to Heath versus Rhino, and one has to eliminate the other.
But if Heath or Rhino win, yes, correct. Heath does get the contract. If they don't win, there could be Hero. Heath has no more opportunities and Impact, and Rhino loses his contract. So if it goes down to Heath and Rhino, if either of them win, they both win.
No. Because the last person in the match has to be Hernandez if he's number 20. Because he's the last person that enters the gauntlet.
That doesn't mean he's last to win.
Well, Shane, isn't a gauntlet where on one until one's eliminated, then the next one comes down, or is it like a Royal Rumble match? What kind of match it is?
Yeah, that's why I'm a little bit confused on if it's a gauntlet elimination, then you start with 2. When somebody's eliminated, then the other one comes down. But is it a gauntlet like the?
Well, if that's the case,
people can still feed in, and you can still have finishes with multiple bodies being in the ring. I'm not exactly certain about the rules here. Are they on there? Are they on the information, Damien?
And I do not have the detailed rules for this matchup, but I will ask this. So if Hernandez is number 20, it could still be Heath or Rhino, the person he's in the ring with, right?
Of course.
Okay.
But you got to believe that at one point, if it goes one eliminate, that maybe it will be one-on-one Heath versus Rhino, and that hurts their chances.
Well, Heath or Rhino could eliminate one another and still have a chance to be contracted with the company afterwards, which goes further to their story going down the road.
Right, but then you have 2 buddies, 2 best friends fighting each other, and nobody wants to see that.
Well, next matchup we want to talk about is Ken Shamrock versus Eddie Edwards. Shane, what are you looking forward to, and how would you book this match?
I'd have Sammy Callahan slapping Ken Shamrock the whole match. You got to think. I don't know. I mean, what they're doing with Ken, with his new motivation from Sammy Callahan to be more dangerous than ever before. I see conversation for Ken getting the win. I like Eddie Edwards getting the win. He's been, the staple. He just was the Impact champion. I feel like Eddie Edwards still is going to be the one that comes out of this. But what I like about this pay-per-view, there's a lot of these matches that could go either way, and it wouldn't bother me either way, and I like that. So for the sake of the show, I think I'm gonna go with Eddie Edwards here. I don't know. Doesn't Ken Shamrock get invited into the Hall of Fame? Is he going to do the job? I think he does the job. Then he goes into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he is going in the Hall of Fame, and I think that's what makes it really interesting, because do you want to give him the proper send-off, or does Sammy Callahan actually cost Ken Shamrock the victory? Because you can't believe Ken Shamrock wants to be an active in-ring performer much longer once he's been in the Hall of Fame. So for me, I'm going to go with Eddie Edwards because of Sammy Callahan costing Ken Shamrock.
Okay, real quick, the gauntlet match is a Rumble style match. So somebody, after an interval, somebody comes in, and then you're eliminated by getting thrown over the top rope. And then the final 2 compete in a singles match.
Oh, well, there you have it.
So it could come down to Heath and Rhino. I know we were kind of debating about that. So,
thank you, that crack reporter Shane Helms, Gregory.
Yeah, he's not a crack reporter.
Fuck.
Undisclosed location will be the venue. The participants will be EC3 and Moose. David Hero, what do you think? How would you book it?
This is going to be violent. It's going to be it's a cinematic match, which aren't always my favorite, but I gotta believe that it's going to be very physical. It's going to be bloody. It's going to be a hot mess. And I got to believe that Moose is going to beat EC3 just because EC3 has been in Moose's head. He's been nothing more than a thorn in his side. And if you listen to the promo, EC3 was saying he wants to make Moose that guy, that he can possibly be. And the only way to bring that out of him is to torture him. And there's no way Moose is going to lose to EC3 right now.
Shane, how would you book it?
This one's tough because there's no babyface in this match. It's kind of hard to tell. Are we supposed to like EC3 in this? He's out there kidnapping poor little Jimmy Jacobs. I'm not sure. I think it's going to be violent and cinematic, so I hope we see some creativity here. But I feel like EC3 coming in doing this should be his match to win. So I'm going with EC3.
All right, EC3 certainly. It's going to be a fun match, I think. And we haven't seen. Have we seen a cinematic match from Impact Wrestling yet? I don't think so.
No, the closest we've got to anything cinematic has been Wrestle House.
Yeah, but remember the cinematic started. Impact is TNA. The cinematic matches started there.
That is true. It's a great point. Well, the next matchup is the X Division Championship Scramble. The participants that were in the match on Tuesday will now try to take the championship from Raju. And now his participants will be Jordynn Grace, and Willie Mack, Chris Bay, TJP, and Trey Miguel. It's a scramble match, which obviously changes what could happen within the confines of the matchup. But Shane, how would you book and who would you book to win this matchup?
I'm going to defer to Dave on this one. Didn't I go first at some point in this one?
Yeah. So for me, this comes down to one of two people. Either the champion retains or Jordynn Grace leaves the X Division champion. Match has already had plenty of opportunities with that title. I think they're all very equal. They're all on the same level. But I think if with Jordynn Grace, she brings obviously a way different dynamic. I think they can do some cool stuff with her. And then again, I wouldn't be disappointed if Raju keeps the title just because he's that guy that can chase him than anything else, just because he's committed to being swarmy.
Yeah, I love his heel run, and so there's a big part of me that wants to see more out of his heel run, because there's so few heels left in the business. When I see one doing well, I want to give it a little bit more. That being said, Trey Miguel being the guy that hasn't had it, I see an argument to see him get a run with it, I was surprised to hear that. I thought he had been a champion. I feel like they said that the other night, and for some reason I thought he had been. I might have been mistaken there. But if Grace comes out as the X Division champion, that could lead to some interesting television as well, especially with her and Rajin trying to get it back. That could be some really interesting, compelling television going forward. So I would keep it on the champ as my number one pick. Number two, I'm going to go with Grace.
Tag Team Championship will be on the line. 4 teams involved. The Motor City Machine Guns defending against the Good Brothers, the North, and Ace Austin and Madman Fulton. Shane, I do declare you to be first for sure this time.
I see so much upside with Fulton and Ace Austin here. They for the sake of the show, I'm gonna go with them.
New champions in the likes of Ace Austin and Madman Fulton, according to Shane. How would you book it?
Let me backtrack. I think it's got to be
that's fair.
I don't know. Let Dave go. I might backtrack though.
If it's me, you got to go with the Motor City Machine Guns. I think that they're the one team that where they stand, what they're up to, what they can do, and they can have a great match with all 3 of those teams individually in singles matches. I don't think the Good Brothers need it, because no matter what they do, they're over anyhow. But I just think I would much rather see the Machine Guns and the Good Brothers have a one-on-one match for the title than have it in a 4-way.
And this is a traditional 4-way match, right? No fatal, no final, no. It's just 4 teams.
Nobody ever dies in these fatal 4-ways, so it's kind of. I kind of think though. I kind of feel if you don't pull the trigger on the Good Brothers, we're going to get into the rut where in AEW where it seems like the Young Bucks have lost so much steam because they haven't pulled the trigger with them yet. So, I mean, the Good Brothers have the name value. They have all these other outside projects that are bringing in attention to Impact. It might be time to see what they can do. I mean, the Motor City Machine Guns don't need the belts either. They are the champions. They've been the champions before in the lineage of that company, because it does go back to Impact. So I feel like either Ace Austin and Fulton, but the Good Brothers too, I think, I mean, they paid these guys a lot of money to come in. You know, why would you not? I hate when, not that I hate, but you can't get lost in that these guys don't need it. If they're big stars and they can carry the banner, that's who is supposed to be your champions.
Yeah, with this match, it could be any one of the 4 teams. It really could be. Because we haven't even talked about the North, and they're as good as it gets also.
Just about 5 minutes left in the broadcast here, gentlemen. 2 more matches to get to, and the next one will be that for the Knockouts Championship as Deonna Purrazzo defends her championship against Kylie Rae. And we saw a great setup for this on Impact this past Tuesday. But Dave, who walks out, if you were booking it, the champion at Bound for Glory tomorrow night?
I think it has to be Deonna Purrazzo, because I just don't want to see that title flip-flop around so much. I mean, Kylie Rae's been fantastic. The fans love her, but maybe she needs to have a little bit more edge to her character to want it. I think that there's more money in her getting a turn match than winning it on the first try.
All right. Shane, how about you?
Purrazzo. Boom.
Done and done. All right. Well, we'll leave it at that.
I like what she's bringing to the table.
Yeah.
She just signed a contract, I guess, long term. She kind of checks all the boxes for me right now. Really good matches. You got to be careful about flip flopping that title around too much. I feel like it has in the last couple since I've been on PWR. So I like to see an extended run from Purrazzo. I feel like we're going to get new tag team champions. Possibly a new X Division champion. I don't see 3 title changes being necessary.
All right. Well, another championship will be on the line. The main event for Bound for Glory tomorrow from Impact Wrestling. It will feature the champion, Eric Young, who is coming with some violence, I think, to this matchup against Rich Swann. The story has been long. The story has been great. We finally see it come to fruition at Bound for Glory for the championship, the Impact World Heavyweight Championship. Shane, this matchup, everything's on the line. How would you book it?
I'd keep it on the champ. You brought him back. He's doing great things. I do love the story with Rich Swann and everything behind it, but I think you got to keep Eric Young going. And also, I know I talked about this either last week or the week before. Impact still needs to kind of curtail how many insane characters they have, because they're really taking away from the character of Eric Young if you got 18 other insane people on the show.
Makes it much less special. That's a great point. David, the championship, the Impact Wrestling World Heavyweight Championship, Eric Young.
There's no way you take that title off EY anytime soon. You let him run with it. You let him be that evil bastard that everybody wants to see fall. So finally, when someone does beat him, it means a million times more.
Oh, okay. Eric Young solidly, as both of you would book, remains the champion at Bound for Glory tomorrow night. Let's talk about the overall event. And gentlemen, what's your hype level about Bound for Glory tomorrow? Are you super excited about it? Are you generally excited about it? Or can you not wait for it, for this big show from TNA Impact Wrestling?
I'm very excited. I'm the one that wanted to bring Impact to the show, to the PWR show. I think they're doing really good things, especially in these incredibly difficult times. I think they had the best wrestling show of the week last week. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think they got a stacked roster of current talent. There's a lot of potential with a lot of guys there. And you can just tell that's a crew that's working hard. You don't hear any negative stories coming out. Remember, that used to be all the rumors with Impact and TNA, locker room morale. And most of it was horseshit because it was when I was there and I would see people having a blast. Those kind of rumors have just disappeared. You got a locker room that's having a good time. They're working hard. That Wrestle House thing, one of the most creative things we've seen during this pandemic. So I'm super excited. And that's from a personal level and from a professional level. I'm looking excited to see what they're going to deliver.
Yeah, same here. I'm looking forward to the show on Saturday night. I think it's going to be a blast. It'll be fun. You're going to see a lot of guys that still have a lot to prove to pro wrestling and to pro wrestling fans. And I think that Bound for Glory, dollar for dollar, is one of the best pay-per-views you're going to see this weekend.
Well, that is saying something. We have 3 actually. We've got WWE Hell in a Cell, which we'll talk about tomorrow. We've got Impact Bound for Glory, and UFC is going to be on pay-per-view tomorrow afternoon as well. So there's a lot of combat sports action for the rest of this weekend. And
the UFC, are we going to ever do a Be the Booker on UFC? I feel like that would be me talking to myself this entire time.
That's well outside my wheelhouse. Yeah, for sure. Well, gentlemen, thank you for joining us here special on a Friday night. Thank you all for watching as well across our social media channels. We'll be with you again after tomorrow night, after Bound for Glory, with the preview and Be the Booker for Hell in a Cell. And thank you very much for joining us.
Hell in a Cell? What about Halloween Havoc?
That's Tuesday, right? Wednesday.
Wednesday? Are we going to Be the Booker for Halloween Havoc?
We probably should, huh?
I'm just throwing it out there. Shit, let's do 18. Let's do a show every day.
For Shane.